This park behind me at the centre of Salboy's 367-home Castle Irwell development offers up plenty of opportunities for play, whether it's climbing, football or cricket. This park offers something that the local community didn't have before, and an important amenity for the residents that live here. But it's another activity entirely that this site owes its heritage to. Every brownfield site has a backstory. This one in Salford boasts a richer one than others, and clues to its history can be found everywhere you look, from the street signs to the local pubs to this, the old turnstile building that served Manchester Racecourse. So saddle up, let's go and take a look around. And here we are in a park that not many people know about, surrounded by homes, a really sort of new quarter of Salford.
Yeah.
And this area, I think it's fair to say the wider area, is not what you would call a regeneration hotspot, but this was quite an important site for the council and university, wasn't it?
100%. I mean, the whole storytelling piece really was you had the university and their decommissioning of this site in 2015, but you had a lot going on elsewhere. So you had the Irwell Basin, which was around the same sort of time, which was a big £10 million project for the flood defence. You had Keepmo with their Charlestown project, and the council were aware of all these pieces of the jigsaw coming forward at different times. So when Castle Irwell became on their radar in terms of a big scheme to come forward to make a massive contribution to the Charlestown area, it was very clear in terms of, well, it's not just about flooding the residential, it's not just about maximising built form, it was about placemaking and delivering a new community, meaningful places, having the connection with the Irwell Basin, pedestrian linkages as well. And this piece here, I mean, it was literally and is the epicenter of the scheme. So it came out really initially as a piece for the compensatory flood basin to manage the flooding. But then it was very clear very early on that this was not just an incidental bit of green space. It was actually, get this right, and this will be a hub for new residents, existing residents nearby. And I mean, look at it, it's unbelievable. When you work on a project, you hope it's going to be as good as it looks on the drawings, and this is even better.
So Nick, tell us a little bit about the history of the site, because right now it's a beautiful residential scheme with a park in the middle, but it's not always been that, has it?
No, originally the name Castle Irwell comes from the house, which was something like a castle in 1857, which stood there until 1902 when it was demolished in place of the Manchester Racecourse. Manchester Racecourse sat there for roughly 70 years until it was demolished, but it covered both the Castle Irwell site and all the way through to Kersal Wetlands, which now sits in the flood basin. When it was demolished, it made way for student housing, which is something that's, the site's quite well regarded in the sense that lots of people have lived here in their student days before falling into disrepair in the late 90s, early 2000s. The site sat empty for around 10 to 15 years until the Salford engaged with Euan Kellie Property Solutions for planning advice on the site, bringing forward an application for 500 homes. Obviously today, fast forward, it's now 367 with the amendments we've made along with this lovely park.
Yeah, I think people would be quite interested to hear about the demographics here, because people think about new developments and immediately they think, oh, well, investors will just buy them up and let them out. But that's not the case here, is it?
No, this housing site was targeted for owner-occupiers. It's at least 95% sold to owner-occupiers. So there's very little rental stock in this location. It was one of the primary reasons we amended the application itself, because we had huge demand in phases 1 and 2, selling all homes off plan before they were completed.
Okay.
And we wanted to make sure that the site stayed in that fashion, essentially, with local families investing into the area and raising young families here in Salford.
Lastly, what lessons have you learned? Because obviously it's a successful scheme. Pretty much all the homes are sold, they're nearly completed. You've got this park, but you've always got to learn lessons, haven't you? What have you learned from this scheme?
I think one of the key things in working with Euan Kellie is the flexibility of the outline planning application that they put forward in allowing us to amend the layout to accommodate for the attenuation basins, the park access attenuation basin, as do the central courtyards in each of the 8 plots for the scheme, and also gave us the flexibility to amend the permission from apartments to housing.
Pretty much every council takes a brownfield first approach to development. They want to take these sites, recycle and reuse them and deliver homes to tackle the sort of housing crisis that's going on. How difficult is that generally, and what is the key to unlocking these brownfield sites so you can deliver schemes like this?
I think the big piece for me, and I mean this applies to probably any project we work on, but particularly for this one, I think it's about, well, you need to be realistic, I think, is the very, very first thing. You know, it's all about, obviously you want to be commercial and maximise returns and get, you know, a good mix of units on here and a good mix of uses as well. But I think you've got to be very focused in terms of being realistic about, well, what are actually what's driving the site? What are its characteristics? What are its constraints, its opportunities? So with this one in particular, we were very clear when we started working with the university. It was about saying, look, if this is a site that's going to be sold, then what we have to do is make sure that the permission we get is absolutely, well, it's realistic, but it's commercially facing.
Okay.
So the way to do that is to make sure that you get into all the detail, you know, really understand the site. And for this site, that included flood risk, drainage, I mean, Sport England as well, with the managing the off-site contributions, highways, ecology. You've got to really get into the skin of the site and understand its nuances. But I think you can't do that in isolation. You have to really understand the site characteristics, but you have to have that back to back with what the council's vision is as well. So, I mean, with this site, the council were fantastic. I mean, we love working with Salford City Council. They're very open for business, great officers, very proactive. They want to see regeneration. But at the same time, they were very clear that they wanted, obviously, development to come forward, the right development to come forward, but they wanted land for the school as well.
Right.
So in all the discussions, they were very clear, which is, you know, there will be land, or there must be land set aside. So I think when it comes back to, as I say, any site you work on, but particularly brownfield sites, you have to go into it with a view when you're advising your client that you're working towards getting the right planning permission that is one that is deliverable, realistic, you know, cost effective, commercial, because at the end of the day, you know, particularly for amazing clients like Salboy who are going to be delivering it, they've got to know it can come forward and they can meet their aspiration.
In years gone by, if you would walk past this site, you might have been able to hear the thundering of hooves, the cheers of a crowd urging horses on to victory, the click of the turnstiles. More recently, you may have heard excitable students getting ready for a night out, or picked up the sound of cogs whirring in their brains as they prepare for an exam. In 2024, Castle Irwell has another new identity. It's been reinvented, recycled to provide places for people. For those that have chosen to live here, this place sounds like home.